they missed out on Tokyo, but what a statement it would be to take down the team that lifted a trophy in their home country right here, right now.
Enemy down.
Yeah, he's already gotten a considerable amount. He's already more than halfway. Closer, get the ace, baby. The crowd's gonna go wild. No! Oh, it seems like, I thought they were gonna try to pinch, but Laz just plucks him out of the sky and he finds a second. You gonna clear this box?
Little spam.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will. Second satchel connects, and Alfear pinches from the other side. Not gonna happen. 13-5 in favor of Fnatic, and what an opener for a team that's currently pushing to win the triple crown. Leo with the understeer, as we mentioned, he had a shock to, and Alfear was on the pinch. He gets two, he gets the third. Leo gets the last, and that's a round for Fnatic.
It's so sus.
Oh no. You're absolutely right, it was. This may be pulled off. Sugar Zero and Def are the only ones up, and they are. They're gonna pull it off with a light buy. Can Alfear do this on his own? He's gotten the first, he's gotta stop the plant! But Alfear with a massive Red Bull clutch for Fnatic. Durka looking for it all. He's gonna have to push past the Cosmic Divide, the fourth and the fifth. The faithful shall be rewarded. Fnatic take down Zeta.
What a way to end it. It's Durkin time.
My oh my, it's time for the final game of today, featuring the winners from Group B. It's FUT versus EG, and of course the winner will secure themselves a spot at playoffs here in Champions. I'm your host, Yingsu, and I've got Doug and Bala here with me. A great cast, first of all, by the way, but this game is going to be absolutely massive.
Yeah, it's that rematch that, you know, we saw on the opening match of Tokyo, and we had so many different thoughts about how those matches were going to play out, and now we've seen the true potential of EG. We're just waiting, and we saw a little bit of it from FUT yesterday.
I mean, they looked really good yesterday, and I think there were so many questions that were answered. I think their play style fully came to head on the stage where everyone's expecting. They're just pushing through smokes, they're just pushing through walls, they're just aim diffing everyone. That's going to be a difficult, different beast against an EG who, while they just put up an insane run at Tokyo, did get tested a little last time we saw them on the stage.
I'm glad you guys mentioned the rematch, because if we dive a little bit deeper into it, the circumstances, Doug, are a little bit different this time around. Of course, back in Tokyo, when they faced each other back then, I don't think many people expected EG to then go on to do what they ended up doing.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I don't know that, I mean, maybe they did.
They did.
But I don't know that anyone else did. Yeah, I think they subverted so many expectations, but I think now you know what kind of a commodity, Ball, like you were saying, you know what a commodity you have in Evil Geniuses. You know what they're capable of. Demon 1, who was relatively quiet through Tokyo, was in full form the last time we saw them play. This EG is the real deal.
Yeah, and I think, you know, the two teams actually had similar rises when they got to Tokyo, right? It was, I mean, EG got kind of lucky, and then they made it in through playoffs, but FUT, like, third place all the way through. They were very good throughout EMEA. They were consistent. You actually expected them to do pretty well, and then when you actually went up against EG, that game was kind of the spark that really started that fire run for EG throughout Tokyo in my mind, because it was a close game up until it wasn't, you know? That's how that match originally went, and I think we're kind of expecting something different now that we've seen EG go to the heights that they reached.
This is the thing, the last match expectations were almost the same for both teams, right? We were just excited to see what they could do. Are the expectations still the same, do you guys feel like?
No, absolutely not.
No?
Not even close.
No.
I think for me, I look at this group and I think EG, yeah, for sure should be making it out, no problem.
Yeah.
Whereas FUT, it's like, yeah, they probably should be making it out, but I wouldn't be surprised if somebody like T1, who they absolutely demolished yesterday, probably the biggest stomp that we've seen so far, outside of maybe the Fnatic Zeta game that we just saw, maybe. I think that kind of replenishes hope in what we know FUT can be. It's just about how they show up on an international stage, in my mind.
Well, on the side of EG, speaking of them, let's send it down to Golden Boy and get a quick word from Com.
Com, come over here, brother. How's it going, bud? All right, you know, look, this FUT team is coming into this event with a ton of momentum. You guys have been in that position in the past. How do you stall this team that seems like a runaway freight train right now?
Shoot head better.
There it is. Just get out of here.
Oh, that's what I've been doing wrong this whole time. I get it now, I get it. But let's talk about I guess the big hitters on both sides, Demon One and Kiwi, because Doug, back in Tokyo, when they went up against each other, they kind of underperformed a little bit, but after the first round of being here, both of those guys are on form.
Which should just make for such a good matchup. Again, you mentioned it, the last time we saw them, it was lackluster from both. It was really quiet, and it was honestly, to go back to the conversation about expectations leading into that match, it was a subversion of expectation for both. We knew what Demon One was capable of. We knew what Kiwi's capable of regionally. We expected it to come to head when they matched up, and neither of those things came into reality. So now that we see that they're playing at much better form, to see them match up like this should be really good.
I think from both these players, I've seen such insane regional performances from them that I haven't quite seen yet at the global tournaments. Outside of Kiwi, at Lock-In, he was insane. I mean,
that's true.
when he was
Kiwi
doing
fun.
100 Thieves, I honestly thought they should have won that series way back then. And I thought that was my first notice of FUT maybe being a real test towards him. Yeah, and they were. They absolutely were. But against those international competition is where I haven't seen. I mean, Demon One had his best series on a global stage yesterday against FPX. And that's FPX, you know, a team that is less experienced, a team that definitely shouldn't be challenging the likes of EG at this stage. But yeah, I think we're going to see him reach new heights here at LA.
Mean, yeah, what you're seeing is the DRX game was his second best performance before he played against FPX yesterday. But even then, when you have a player like Demon One on form, Baller, this is going to, I mean, I know they got second place at Tokyo, but they did it without Demon One being Demon One.
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of other players really stepped up. I'm thinking Busio, especially in that FUT game, was a fire starter for them so consistently. So yeah, it was other factors. But now that we saw their first games, we start to go back to those old narratives and really put a lot of emphasis on those two players' performance.
Yeah, let's talk about Busio. I feel like everyone's favorite fragging IGL, right?
Yeah, who's been under the spotlight a little bit for some of what he's been saying recently, but I mean, Busio, there's really no other way to describe it. He had an outrageous performance at Tokyo. Top fragging as far as IGL goes, probably one of the top 5, top 10 players in the entire tournament from a Sentinel role, calling through everything that he and his team went through that year. We talked about the FUT matchup. It was Busio who carried EG through that match last time they played. So it's a difficult thing too to expect a Sentinel and IGL to continue to put up numbers like that, but the truth is he continues to do it. He did it all of Tokyo. There's no reason to think he's not going to be able to do it here.
Yeah, have you guys heard how many rounds he expects here from FUT?
Wait, did he tell you?
No, he didn't tell me.
I was hoping that you were going to actually let me.
I mean, you should have lied.
Yeah, it's I expect 4 rounds total from FUT right here.
That's what I heard him say to you.
EMEA's a one-team region, so yeah, that's what he told me.
Is that what he sounds like?
Yeah.
Okay.
He sounded more like Obama.
Like Barack Obama, yeah. What just happened?
I mean, before we derail this, for EG, of course, winning today, getting to playoffs, people probably expect that at this point after Tokyo. But for FUT, I just want to hammer home how big of a deal this will be if FUT can win today. They will go where no other Turkish team have ever gone before. They will be the first full 5 Turkish players to make it to a playoffs at an international tournament, a tournament this big. And you guys can see the FUT watch party. This is insane. And this is before they've even made playoffs yet. So Doug, there's a lot of pride and regional pride, Turkish pride, everything on the line, not just for these 5 players going to playoffs.
Oh, 1000%. That watch party goes hard. I mean, look at them. They're rolling deep. And I think, again, it just goes to show like how excited they are, how much pride there is, as you mentioned, regionally for the players individually. And I think they do have a really cool opportunity to do something here that hasn't been done before. Mind you, the sample size is small, but they have the chance to do something really special here. Not just make it out of groups, not just be the first to make it out of groups, but to do it against EG, the team that beat them last time, the team that came in second at Tokyo.
Yeah, it's revenge kind of for them. And I think something that I've been thinking about for FUT, right? The reason why I had less expectations for them coming into this tournament was that Tokyo performance was poor after the EG series. But if you watch the EG series, you thought that they had a chance in that until the second map after they lost that overtime comeback. If it wasn't for that, I think they would have looked really strong. And back at Tokyo, the narrative was all about, oh, this is the first Turkish team to get here since SMB back in 2021.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is a lot riding on this, but I think they're in much better shape mentally than they were at Tokyo.
Yeah, they have a chance to make history here. And let's send it back to Golden Boy and get a quick word from FUT IGL, Mr. Fallen.
Mr. Fallen, come over here, my man. I know your team's heading off into the distance there. I want to ask you a quick question. This is a big moment for Turkish Valorant. You guys are, you know, on the precipice of bracket play. Does that moment weigh on you guys? Does it weigh on the team as you get ready to take on one of your greatest challenges yet?
Yeah, it's going to be the biggest challenge I think for us, but we just have to come in to prove ourselves. We are, I don't know, qualified the champions, you know. Let's see who's wrong, who's right.
I love it, brother. You have it going, all right? Take it easy, all right? Have it going back to you.
I love kind of the coyness of this, but the thing is, this team, one of the reasons they've been doing so well, they've said it themselves, Doug, is that the vibes are really good, which is exactly the same for EG, right? Everybody loves how good their vibes are.
And that's the thing, in a tournament format like this, we've talked about it so much throughout the year, vibes matter, right? Like a team catches fire, the vibes are good, and you can make a run that you wouldn't expect, much like EG did previously.
Yeah, well, this is a rematch, so I wonder if we're going to get the same maps this time around. I cannot wait to find out. Let's send it down to Coach Gaius and Potter and see where we're going to be going today.
All right, match 3 of the day. Let's go ahead and jump in. EG, you are the higher seed. Team A or Team B?
We'll take Team A.
Team A. FUT, you will be Team B. So, EG, your first ban. Haven, your ban.
Fracture.
Fracture. Map number 1.
We'll pick Pearl.
Pearl. Side on Pearl.
Attack.
Attack. Okay. Map number 2.
Bind.
Bind. Side on Bind.
We'll take Defense.
Defense. Okay, next set of bans starting with EG. You have Ascent, Lotus, and Split.
Take out Lotus.
Take out Lotus. Your ban, you have Ascent and Split.
Ban Split.
Ban Split?
Yes.
That will make map number 3 Ascent. Side on Ascent.
Defense, please.
Defense. Okay, gonna run through this, make sure we are all set. First set of bans, we have EG with Haven, FUT with Fracture. Map number 1 is Pearl with FUT on Attack. Map number 2 is Bind with EG on Defense. Next set of bans are Lotus and Split, which makes the Cider map 3 Ascent with EG on Defense. All right, good luck to you both.
Good luck. Good luck.
Evil geniuses. FUT Esports.
This is for a spot at playoffs, for pride, for everything. Again, one of these teams, if they win this best of 3, Bala, they're going to be going through to playoffs, and they will have 7 days to prep for it. That is huge.
Yeah, that's underrated of a factor, and it's a different format to some of the other tournaments that we've had group stages for. Usually we, go through all the opening matches, whatever, and here we are with this group. I mean, having a chance. We already had the DRX team go through and have that advantage now, and now these 2 teams have that opportunity to go for it as well.
Yeah, let's talk about the map vetoes real quick, Doug. What did you make of it? Anything that you expected or didn't expect?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I think I'm curious to see how things play out. I think EG on Pearl should be a lot of fun. Potter is obviously known for cooking up all sorts of nonsense that's caused fits to opponents throughout, the better part of 2 years now? Yeah. Going back to prior roster iterations and things like that. So I'm really excited to see how they play out on Pearl specifically.
I think, for me, the most interesting thing was the last decision that they made, EG, banning Lotus, where that was the first map that they started on against FUT last time, and they want to avoid that opportunity to play against them. And they got kind of lucky that FUT didn't go for that, given how good that team is on this map, but maybe they they also don't want to go up against an EG that beat them after, you know, so much strong performances on Lotus from FUT.
Yeah, I'm surprised about that as well, but Ascent, Turkish teams on Ascent, they hear differently. So if it goes the distance, I personally am leaning a little bit more towards FUT, but as you said, Doug, this Pearl is going to be a hard, tall hill, a mountain for FUT to be able to climb on. What did you make of the Sova change? I know they kind of brought in that last time we saw them. Yesterday even when we saw them play Pearl.
Yeah, I love it. Honestly, I think that that's been a lot more common since the Pearl changes because of that just one minute change where you can smoke off the choke on B with one smoke. And ever since then, you're starting to see that comp come back, which actually was, you know, something that was pretty common way back after Chamber got nerfed. So before Viper Harbor came into the mix. But they were really good at Viper Harbor, so I'm kind of like mixed feelings because we saw many teams still show in the Americas League, still show great Viper Harbors on this map that I kind of think it's still the way to go.
Well, here is the Prime Gaming agent select, and both of them have, are they stuck to the comms that they ran already? It looks like it.
Yeah, it seems to be the case.
The thing that stands out to me, though, is always with FUT, you get this KO, and here you have Brim Viper on Pearl, which is such a drastic difference to everyone else in the meta here. And this is actually something that most of the time EMEA has been avoiding, so you can see FUT 4 times played, and they're quite proficient at it still.
Yeah, this comp hasn't been shown very much for FUT. And I mean, honestly, you could say the same thing for EG. So this, again, given what we know about Powder, given what we know about how FUT's form was the last time we saw them, I'm really excited because I think we're going to be able to tell very early what kind of series we're in for. If FUT is still swinging with confidence, if they're still fragging the way that they are, and they're just going to fully disrespect what EG are showing them, it could be a really good series.
Well, we are ready to go, so let's send it over to my good friends from across the pond. It's Mitch and Tom.
Thank you so much, Yinsu and the desk. Yes, we're ready to get back into another FUT game, this time up against EG, and what a spectacular matchup we should have in front of us, Tom.
Yeah, the thing is, when we came into this one, we looked at this group, looked at EG and went, okay, this should be a clean sweep for them, an easy way through, but FUT came in with some pretty hot form as of just yesterday, so I'm looking forward to see what they have here. I also really like the fact that this map has now been picked against FUT a couple of times. First time they picked defense, looked incredibly strong. You go, okay, probably going to do that again. No, they go into the attack, where realistically that's the one place they haven't really been seen as much, especially with this composition. So EG can't have counted as much of what we'll see in this first half.
Well, it's time to get into this game. Evil Geniuses starting out their defense on their own map pick as well. Quite a treat for this squad. FUT with the biggest matchup so far in their careers. And I mean, looking at EG on home turf as well, we'll see how this match unfolds. But it's an uphill battle for the side of FUT, beginning on the attack and looking for some control. They've destroyed the turret, but they've got their sights set on A.
Viper walls making things a little bit more awkward, and while Demon One has just met the Turkish aim, first bullet straight to the head as they look to swarm in onto Jorgamo. Almost manages to get a double straight off the bat. He is going to be a menace throughout this match on the A site, but for now at least, it is going to be the advantage in the favor of FUT. A quick retake being attempted though.
Yeah, just trying to annoy them. Some damage done. Boostio able to catch off. Bajin goes out for a bit more. That double might just give them a fighting chance in this. With low HP on Ada Captain, the round might just be theirs, and seconds later it is locked in for EG, America's #1. You've already seen America struggle today, Tom. The eyes are certainly on the Evil Geniuses.
Yeah, one of the things I really want to highlight as well is the last time we actually saw Boostio play a Killjoy versus FUT, he got 35 kills. So he had a pretty good game, so that's definitely going to be someone we have to keep an eye on. I also want to watch the way that EG are actually going to work, because one of the things I feel like T1 really suffered with on this map in particular was respecting the utility of FUT a little bit too much, not baiting out a lot of it early on. So, for example, we saw retakes where FUT still had 3 of those Brim smokes. You know, okay, but that's just madness. I don't think EG are going to fall for that same sort of trap, as they are always very good at reading into their opponents. Props to Potter for that one. But for now, at least, we're going to look at FUT with a minuter of an investment. A few pistols, nothing much more. And on the other side, well, a pretty healthy buy.
Yeah, some challenges for EG if they want to take pacier attack rounds. But here on the defense, they're not afraid to put a little bit of that aggression out. Already grabbing the orb up on A long. Some good control on the back of it. But they have given up a lot of control around here. The water wide open, and FUT are feeling it out, grabbing all of that control. Thing is, still a decent run from here towards either one of the sites. There's players in between them. Calm. I like the idea. Spamming on the back of the turret contact. It won't get them anything, though.
Yeah, the screen is basically just used to try and make things more awkward for the player fighting around that angle, and you're not going to want to play close when you're up against these pistols. Com, though, very good at just taking that initial fight, fading away, not over-facing. He has support from Boostio as well, and not giving any real 1v1 fights. They are cleaning things up. It's only going to be the pistol lost, and for Kiwi, 8 HP, definitely not the gun of choice, and as he tries to pick up the other, he will fall as well. Very clean from the side of EG, only a Sheriff lost and nothing more.
Yeah, I mean, that is a textbook follow-up round. The fact that they chose right away to give up the control around mid, knowing FUT would want to poke and prod for it. They don't fight in art. No one gets caught out of position. And consistently, Calm was just taking shots, falling back, grabbing his one, and leaving. I love to see it. Now, this is interesting. Round 3, timer's ticking away, and we're getting towards 0. And there's still an AWP in the hands of Demon 1.
Yeah, so Boostio last round just played the pistol so they could save up this extra cash. I don't know if this is something FUT will necessarily be expecting, but with Demon 1 on the server, I feel like you always have to be that little bit more wary. Again, though, we saw this from the few attack rounds from FUT. They're very happy to take these pacey hits and already walking quite far up towards long. Boostio's going to try and get himself a little bit more aggressive around this corner. That singular smoke place to try and deter them, but Kiwi's going right through it, and he'll find that opener.
Yeah, spotted Boostio on the way through. That's your Killjoy down, a lot of your utility down and out. And already used a Nano Swarm. Now a lot of the weaker weapons are trying to skirmish for this site, and the AWP still miles away. If you lose these other players, you're going to start to think about saving, but Ethan might just have given them a chance. Now they can contemplate fighting for this Kiwi. Incredibly low. 40 HP, a shot out from the AWP. Now they know where Kiwi is. They've got him boxed in, taken down, and Mr. Fallen's on 70. The follow-through round from FUT, this should have been clean. The AWP didn't even play that big of a role, but it might to close it out. It has the angle up top. That smoke soon to fade, and Mr. Fallen left in the open. Good damage done. Jogamo barely holding on to life, but he'll catch the angle up above. Evil Geniuses not giving an inch to FUT.
And what a huge round as well from Ethan. Like, that's the thing, you look at the initial fights that go the way of FUT. You have the entry coming out of Kiwi, getting into the site, the spam battle really didn't work out for them either. And then Ethan just at the back of site gets 2 kills with a stinger, and it allows the time for the rotation of Jorgamo and Demon 1. Big round for him, and for FUT, that is an early defeat that they would not have been hoping for. As we've said, we've seen a lot of very strong defensive hearts as of recent when it comes to Pearl, but you still need to get yourself a little bit of wiggle room, and losing the bonus round is not a good place to be.
Yeah, that's not wiggle room whatsoever. They're certainly going to start to feel boxed in. The one upside, Kiwi has a Blade Storm. Look at this. The fact that Demon 1's holding that, just what's going through their head. Okay, they've got a Blade Storm. How do we deal with it? Let's hold some of those updraft angles. You know he's going to try a nasty play, and he's already tried it. Down to 30 health. Sure, they get control over the B site, but defending it with these kind of weapons is not likely to go well. And with 30 HP on Kiwi, what can you really hope for?
But there's 2 things that they can hope for. One, Blade Storm maybe works out. The other is Mr. Fallen gets a single kill and he has a lockdown. Other than that, there really isn't a lot to play with in this round already. Getting a lot of information, and those knives are going to be gone for the next few seconds. They are slowly just being picked apart, one by one by one. It's looking very easy for the remaining players. Post plant for Moj. He will be able to pick off one already. The spam attempting a little bit more, but now Mr. Fallen, stinger at a distance. Can't really hope for anything, and again, EG are going to make that one look easy. 4 players alive, finances really growing, and although the time was getting a little bit low, they make it look comfortable.
They absolutely do. 4 players left alive. This round started out probably about as poorly as you'd expect for what was in it, unless Kiwi was to pick up some quick kills, but they played super passive, they gave them the control, and in the end, they reaped the rewards. Patient play from Evil Geniuses, and 4 rounds to 0. But a buy round coming up for FUT, a lockdown in play on both sides. Could end up just canceling each other out, but I'm looking at Calm just 1 away from grabbing that Hunter's Fury as well. So if he's able to grab an early pick, things could start to look a lot better for them with an immediate counter available.
Yeah, and it's funny as well. I think Demon 1, its positioning in the early rounds, unlucky. They have gone B the last few. He's been on A. Now he's finally on B, and they are lurking through mid. and wrapping around onto A. In fact, Com's position was one almost placed ready for Kiwi as he does wrap back round, potentially looking to go to spawn or even hit into R, but he's going to be spotted by the drone. I think maybe even caught a little bit off guard by the fact that they are prepared for somebody to be this far forward. And with the remaining players back of sight, even though the ground has been taken for FUT, the value of it, well, it seems like EG's almost given it to them.
Yeah, again, in effect, when they come to pushing the site, because of how passive EG are, they've just given up art, right? It's not as bad as you might think, because FUT have nowhere to pivot to take that space off of slightly missing the timing on that right click. The knife caught him. Ability suppressed for just a moment. Spams through, nothing found. Kiwi biding his time as the shock dart lands. Next planter steps up to the plate. We'll see what they can do. A nade on its way, but they haven't accounted for Kiwi. The double up close, the reward found. He's going to fight further into spawn for his third. Still holding control. That lockdown, sure, it presents a serious danger for him. Not so much as the bullets, but he's bought time. He's bought space for his squad now, positioned in Ard and main, and with just one man on the other side, Demon 1. Seems to be a near impossible clutch just with the time on the clock. He has to try to find some kills first. Spotting one player, suspecting the second. Great read on this situation. But Maj just falls back, toying with the timer and winning it out in the end. The first for FUT is found.
Yeah, it took them a little bit and, well, ultimately took a huge round out from Kiwi. Someone just going a little bit unchecked around the edges of the smoke, but it's one that we'll wait and see how often he's going to be able to pull off something like that, because it's still a very, very long way to go. Even still, actually, starting to look at the finances for FUT, even just not keeping that one squeaky clean now means that Mr. Farlin is going to be left with just an SMG for this round, so they may have finally found themselves on the board, but the troubles definitely aren't over just yet.
Anything but. And we saw this recon through in the previous round. This time, oh my, it's catching a lot of information. But the follow through, okay, Jogamo's got his second. Here comes the Hunter's Fury. Tagging them up on the way through, making them a little bit easier to follow up on as Jogamo catches yet another kill. The spike, the last to fall. And a very quick response from EG. They lose a round, and they give them seconds to give it right back. It's a strong lead. And we've seen this a couple of times, the idea of popping up the flash, following through with the recon as well. Didn't quite net them as much value as this time around, though.
Yeah, this is something that has been spoken about throughout the tournament so far, and that is that every time Com has a Hunter's Fury, he gets value from it. I think normally it's a multi-frag. This time, maybe not so much, but the amount of damage he was able to do, the disarray he was able to cause, and more so, just the fact that Jorgamo is such a menace when it comes to this A site. It's definitely an issue. Pressure again being placed into mid. Demon 1 goes back for more. Hoping to try and find that extra little bit of damage. Spam trying to deny Kiwi the opportunity to get that operator, and it actually has. I thought he was going to continue that push, but backs away.
Yeah, maybe worried about a second player following through at any moment. I'm not sure, but they've left it on the floor for now. A valuable weapon for this squad. Instead, maybe looking for this orb. They could get the Blade Storm online right here and now, hold the long-range angles. You know the op's not in the round. Good idea. Now, last time around, Kiwi wasn't able to get up to all too much. This Blade Storm didn't have quite the same impact as we've seen. His mobility already out of the game. His updraft used up. So he won't be a menace up and around these smokes anymore, but he doesn't need to be. The lockdown buys them all the space. And through the smoke, well, let's add another tally to the counter in the audience. FUT on the back foot now for sure.
But yeah, the nano was just to buy them back. They are popping everything. So many ults being thrown into the round, and it might not even be enough. The man advantage going back, but at least Krax has been able to hit a nice shot, giving them an opportunity. The close angle is so important, but Jorgamo still just going strong, leaving 2 remaining. Both with Sheriffs hiding within this vibe. But Krax has managed to double, but still comes down to 1. And Com will not allow the mischievous FUT to get away with anything.
What an incredible effort with Sheriffs nonetheless. But the time not quite as close as it needed to be. If Kiwi was alive a few more seconds, that stray shot through the smoke doesn't catch him. Who knows? Who knows? But 6-1 nonetheless. And despite a little bit of a stumble. I don't even know if I want to blame that on them realistically. What can you do about a player hitting shots like that? And we've seen this from Krax in the opening series as well. He was unbelievable, but it's not enough this time. And FUT, having invested a lot of their lower, like some of their ultis, Blade Storm, Viper's Pit as well, they're going to decide this time to call a pause. Got to play it with their rifles and run it down on more conventional turf. So far, that's been where EG's come ahead.
I think as well, just maybe some of the players having quieter performances. Moj was probably the best player when they played Pearl last time out, only with a couple of kills at the moment. Ada Captain, okay, we've seen him be an assist king before and then slowly come into the game, but they're going to need it a little bit earlier this time around. As said, like we've seen them have an incredible defensive half, and the attack we didn't get to witness because they were so dominant last time out, but this is now starting to become a bit of a danger. I think all the pieces looking like they're there at the moment for the side of EG. Jorgamo's still causing problems. Com has been unreal so far, winning them that Red Bull clutch in the previous round. And for FUT, realizing they're at least going to want, say, 4 or 5 rounds if they are going to have themselves an opportunity in that second half. So just taking themselves that timeout. And you have to bear in mind, that last round was them using 3 ultimates. Yeah, sure, the investment wasn't that heavy in terms of the rifles. They only had pistols for the majority, but when you loot all of those ults and you don't get a victory, that's more of a problem.
Yeah, that's what it's about, right? Like, they still have the money to buy up here, and the Blade Storm being gone, you won't bat an eye at, but it's the rest of the ultis that went through.
Again?
And this guy, Boostio, another kill, just spamming through smokes. It's Mr. Fallen to go down this time, and the immediate response from FUT. They're quickening the pace. They're moving into the B side now, hidden here.
There's a smoke.
Still Boostio behind a smoke. This is where he's most deadly. Gonna be blinded up again. The flash through, it's caught him, and they found him, rooted him out. In the meantime, though, Ada Captain deleted in the attempt to plant the spike. Now gonna be run back a couple more seconds. It's down in the open. Has to be retrieved.
That's the thing. It seems with EG, there's never a man left behind. Such good use of the fragment. You can see already Krax on his last lease of life. They're going to have to use the poison orb just to try and give them a spot to plant him, but now the full rotation has come through. The entirety of EG are ready and raring to go, but Kiwi's at least even things up for a second.
Yeah, and now look at his HP, down to 16. Shock Darts hunting down both of these low players. Moj found. Kiwi has to turn up, only good for the one. Krax tries to fade away, dodging bullets. Just one needed to take him down. He is so desperately low, and they're coming so close to finding him. The bun seen up above, but he doesn't realize it, turning at the last moment. And giving Demon 1 that final kill, that 7th round now locked in for the side of EG.
It just seems like every single time that FUT managed to find a kill, there's a cost fallacy. Like, be it someone getting wallbanged by an operator, a Com diving through the smoke to trade out his teammates, the fragment onto the spike. Like, there's always damage being achieved by EG. Their utility has been sublime, but even just their timing and synergy has been one of the main differences so far in this matchup. 7-1 in the lead over on this defensive side. Again, we're going to be back down to very little. An orbital strike for Ada Captain that's been sitting there for a while. And in this sort of round, would you even use it?
Opportunity would have to present itself. For now, that's not the case. Slow approach from EG. They even wanted to get a little aggressive to start, but once they see this wall go down, that space taken, they're going to give it up. Play a little bit more passive. And that up on the corner is suspected. You can see the jump peaks, but now taking the wider angle. Great reading of how this round is breathing out. Flash unfortunately caught Moj there as well, so there was no follow through.
Okay, constantly once more. For the rest of FUT, starting to, again, go back to the same take. They've been splitting back through B every single time. Com and Boostio have been having a field day. Again, going to be tagging up the information. Boostio just waiting to swing off his teammates' contact. Supportive shock darts, but Ada Captain, he's on the board. But there is the dart straight through. Com's utility has been almost as good as his fragging power throughout this game so far. Unfortunately, he doesn't get assists for his own kills. But he is going to find the wallbang. This site is just locked out. And Moj, well, he's finally going to take one, but as said, the trade is immediate. This is so clean from EG.
From the first time we saw this guy on the international stage, a man that is calm, 12-4 right now. I've been a big fan of him. He might have been one of the first players picking up the Odin. That might have been why initially, but his support play and his patience, always a treat to watch. The Demon 1 paired up with him, it's a deadly duo. And even look at the damage, right? Adacaptain found that kill that we saw on the board just seconds ago, but it left him on 55 HP after running through Boostio's Nano Swarm. I think even being tagged through the wall beforehand. At that point, yeah, it's an easy follow through when he goes for the plant. And this is the thing, no matter what happens to EG, even when they're losing a player, the dominoes have already started to fall.
As I said, it's that cost fallacy. And
every time.
Here we go. A chance. Demon 1 is going to go back for a little bit more. I've noted as well that we spoke about Adacaptain yesterday. I think it was 20 assists and a half.
Yes.
Ethan's already on 13, so he's looking to try and beat him.
Jealous.
Again, they're going to split through R in towards this A site. A lot of counter utility in an attempt to try and slow them down. Lockdown even available as well for Boostio if he decides to use it. And Hunter's Fury, as said, he always finds something. And with the lockdown in tow, Adacaptain has at least found one. Not quite clearing Ethan, but even still, they keep the advantage for a moment.
Neck and neck at least with FUT grabbing the plant. Orbital strike used, so not online. It's just the Blade Storm that's charging in and taken down. Shot out of the sky by Krax, but there's a response. Calm not letting this one slip. They've got to push forward. A vague idea of where Krax is, perhaps. Mr. Fallen, though, it's revealed moments ago. Putting those pieces together for EG. They'll look to peek this one. Oh my god, the damage is incredible. Cracks down to just a sliver of health now. The last man standing, double peeked and dealt with. A triple for Ethan. As they push up to 9, this lead can't stop extending for Evil Geniuses.
It's just ridiculous. Another Red Bull clutch, and I feel like we're just going to be brown-nosing Com at this point, but he even uses the dart to fake out as his teammate peaks. It's just disgusting. The synergy between these players is just unmatched, and right now, it seems like FUT just can't quite deal with it, even in the clutch situations. And that was one of the things, I think, in the series versus T1, they won, I think it was 7 1vx's over a very short amount of time, considering the match wasn't very long at all. They're not winning any of them here. 9-1. It is EG's map choice, but this has been a map they were comfortable to play on the FUT side.
EG's map choice and FUT's side choice.
Yeah.
They wanted to begin on attack, so sure, we can read into it as yesterday we saw their defense, we know that it's strong, no doubt about it. But it's going to have to be real strong if this keeps up, and even then, if it stops right here and now, 9-3 at best on the half, it's a tough scoreline to recover from. For now, patience, again, on display for the side of EG. FUT, this is probably one of the slower attempts. We're going to see them again wrestle for that map control with a minute on the clock. Destroy that turret, same thing they've been doing in a lot of these rounds, and then Kiwi goes walkabouts. With the fact that you still have players on either extremity, this isn't a game plan right now. They're trying to find options.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Every time there's been space left for EG, it's been left intentionally. It's not like there's been any gaps found. That's a big kill, though. Com going walkabouts, Adacaptain being able to take him out. Boostio left with absolutely no support. He needs to be a hero here, but he's not even checked on. He's managed to find a couple, of course. The second player in Krax can be brought back from the depths, but that's going to take time. And that time gives a moment. Look at Demon 1. He's trying to watch for that exact position. The spam does a lot of damage, and then Ethan finds him anyway. They'll finally get themselves into that after plant, and for the first time in a while, it looks like a possible round for FUT. But we'll see if they can take it.
And I really like that from Ethan, just holding the lineup that whole time, waiting for the res to come through. Hoping to get both. The play out. Ethan, no flashes. They got to just dry peek those angles, lose a lot of HP in the process. Demon 1 down low, doesn't stop him from eliminating Maj. They still need to root out Mr. Fallen, who's just swung out wide, looking to take the fights. Lockdown in play, on the way. The swing needs to come in. Mr. Fallen, it's being diffused right under his nose. And now the stick, it'll get close, but the detain interrupts. Timing now, everything, and that spike is already quite far gone. I think Ethan's realizing now, trying to back away, but it was way too late.
Well, I don't think you're going to see a round victory like that too often. A player getting the spike to half. He basically was just hoping his opponent wouldn't peek, but Mr. Fallen played that to perfection. Finally seeing a second round onto the board for FUT, and Another Red Bull clutch coming out in their favor this time around. Nonetheless, it is still an absolute mountain to climb for FUT. This last round is more than a necessity, and well, you mentioned your...
You know, I mean, what were his choices there? To lose the round a different way, realistically? Yeah, I think he probably played the only way that he gets away with it.
Yeah.
Just sticking it. Didn't work out. Unlucky. Now you move on to the final round of the half. 9-2 on the scoreline. FUT still possible to push up to 3 to maybe hope for the curse at best. For this 12th round, FUT much more decisive on where they want to go, feeling out that A pressure. And they'll instead look to take it this way. When I talked about Calm earlier, my boy taking out the Odin way back. And they'll make it work again. They're also triple stacked up on B.
So much info. So much info. 3 players spotted by the drone. And look at the wraparound from Demon 1. Yeah, the pause, I think just knowing that their opponent has that information, but it means they're slowly being boxed in. Timing here could be everything.
No one's watching it.
Yeah, he's looking back and forth, but he's instead gonna walk back! I don't know how Moj just managed to get away with that one, and now Orbital Strike leaves Com dead to rights. Finally a chance once again, but then strikes Ethan. Another one coming up for Boostio, but it's left all onto Jorgamo. The player wrapping back around, FUT have an advantage once again. The spam is ridiculous, but Moj waking up finally will make this one a 9-3 half. It was squeaky in the end, but even still, at least FUT got something. The fact is EG is so far in the lead here.
Yeah, EG have got to be feeling incredibly confident with the half that they've just displayed here. They chose the map. FUT maybe threw in a curveball by switching it up and deciding to play instead on that attacking side. It hasn't worked out very well for them to boot. We know their defense can be stronger, but for now, EG seem to have it in the bag, Tom. Now, we spoke a little bit earlier on to a player called Jorgamo. Let's see what he had to say.
Feels good because it's my first champion event as a player. Watching it for the past couple of years, like grinding my way to the top to be on a professional team and to be like on like a top tier team. It goes in the books, you know. I always think of it, you know. I always love it. I gotta cherish every moment I can. There's only 2 North American teams you can root for now. Like that's pretty like mind blowing that like everybody's watching us at the end of the day. That's kind of how I look at it.
Util out in the hands, panicking, but the paranoia was sent flying, and Demon 1 man. It's precise, it's surgical, over the top. Com's consistent with it, lets it loose. Up in mid, Demon 1. Of course, he's going to be finding it, but does he expect that? Goal! There's no shot!
Yeah, so we have one more game against FUT, and my parents are going to be there too, so just having that parents buff that I usually never get at any of these events, so it would be like just a blessing, you know, just having them here, you know, it means a lot to me. And I think Boostio, he's gonna get that fire up. He's gonna have that mentality of like, I just dropped 35 on these guys before, I'll do it again. So like having that IGL mindset and his confident calling is just gonna be very easy, I think. LAX is maybe 30 minutes away from here. It's only a 12-hour flight for y'all. I hope y'all upgrade to first class.
Wow. He's got some words for the players across the stage, and good thing we're running that with a 9-3 lead. It'd be kind of embarrassing if it swapped around, but you can definitely tell that sense of confidence on the stage. EG have been feeling good, they've been looking good, and big task.
That's the thing, like we've seen some people on the interwebs getting a little bit salty, a little bit mad, the trash talk, and I gotta say, I absolutely love it. Just the way that this team is willing to talk their shit before the game begins, and then they come in and they deliver. 9-3 up, looking absolutely incredible right now. And I'll be honest, Boostio hasn't really needed to drop 35 kills this time, because right now the whole team is just above and beyond. We're looking to see if FUT can have that same defensive half as last time. 3 rounds currently on the board. They managed a 9-3 half versus T1, but they're going to need to, I feel like, step it up to a higher gear. And already, just look at the sheer pace coming out from EG, straight down in towards that mid connector.
Yeah, FUT had some pace too, but didn't catch anyone, and they're a little late to the party. Now on B long, there's a couple players coming down. Will they even read that? Will there be anyone left alive to read it? Low HP now, stuck in the corner. Demon 1's also being tagged up, but that won't stop him yet again. Able to deliver kill after kill. The shutdown is there with a back and forth for FUT, but they're overextending into this, knowing the spike needs to be planted. They try to interrupt it, and, well, they've succeeded. A pistol round for FUT at long last.
Yeah, one that was necessary. It has to be said. If they're going to turn this on its head, they needed to get themselves this pistol round. Definitely a close one, and with the way that Com's been playing, I wouldn't have been surprised if he was able to close that one out. But for this round at least, they're not going to be able to invest too much into it. A few sheriffs, a chance to do a little bit of damage, and on the other side of things, investing into 3 rifles, just trying to make sure that this one isn't going to go astray. A couple of players with the light shields, though, so we'll see. Maybe there's a couple of opportunities to capitalize.
Yeah, damage could be done. Not seeing a Marshall or anything in here for the attacking side. Obviously going to be a bit of an issue if you are going for control over B long. Probably going to want to have that long-range weapon. Instead, smoking it all, feigning out presence, fighting for orbs. Even some sheriff battles for Boostio. He's trying to sneak his way in. And a lot of this round can even just be seeing how FUT like to set up in these initial rounds on their defense. You're catching out where the turret is, obviously a different spot to what EG had been putting down on their own defensive side. But then when it comes down to crunch time, to actually taking a site, you might be diving headfirst into a meat grinder, but they've actually managed to take a few teeth out of that grinder. Look at the A site. It's stacked up now because of the feigned control. They went to B first, moved back to A. It looked like a simple enough round. But now as they again shift focus to the B site, they should find this much more open.
Yeah, I like the fact, though, that FUT are just basically doing exactly the same as we saw from their opponents in the prior half, just sitting very passively, not really giving any opportunities for individual fights. Not allowing that close range of the weaponry. Okay, peekaboo. See you later, Mr. Farland. And at the back of the site, a firing squad, but they might even try and wrap back around. Demon 1 is trying to hold off those rotations. Not a lot of time for them to get this plant in, though. As it begins, the spam's going to be coming through, but it seems like he's managed to get it. The thing is, though, the full force of FUT is barreling down on this team, and it will be a cleanup in the end. A single kill, a plant for at least a little bit extra, but ultimately we will have a competitive FUT in the next round.
This was the round that was expected, was anticipated. Yeah. A few curveballs there. I mean, if the clock wasn't so low, maybe you wouldn't have as much of a rotation played out previously, but you wouldn't have seen Demon 1 give up that spot in heaven quite as quickly. Maybe he catches one off guard, and, well, the second he gets a weapon in his hand, everything can flip on its head. This is the round where they will truly fight for it, and just looking at the positions of some of these players on FUT, it looks like they want that aggression up through A main once more, maybe posting Kiwi up to hold the control, but EG have no intention of giving them a fight there.
No, early default just being held. A little bit of aggression from the defenders. They're going to get that orbital strike online very early on, and the spam from Mr. Fallen and Moj has at least done a little bit of chip damage. Ultimately, that control has gone the way of EG, though. Not going to allow that push up on one side of the map. And you can see the patience of Boostio just watching for any aggression. Just making sure that there's not going to be any cheeky business, especially in a round like this where it's kind of expected because of the slightly weaker weaponry.
Kiwi's jiggle peek will be spotted momentarily. Boostio even goes in for the pre-fire. That could have been very dangerous indeed. I guess the idea being that by showing that presence, he'll fall back. He'll start to concede the control. And instead, he stayed up. Kiwi seeing that no one's coming around that corner, so they'll stay in position. 3 players still on B, lined up in the open. Demon 1 the first to fall. Good tag and follow through. Mr. Fallen already good for 2. And Jogamo is low. He has to be so cautious and going for those fights. The body was the only target needed, but it won't land.
And that's the thing, because they've managed to go through arc, this is going to be an interesting battle of timing. Kiwi's push-up, if he goes any further, he might catch Jorgamo. And he spotted him out, the damage is done, but the spike is already hightailing its way in towards the A site. They haven't spotted the players making their way through middle, so if anything, FUT might just believe they have them trapped in, and instead, it's going to have to be the full retake.
And the problem is how much space they've given up. They'll have to take a while on the way back through or risk a player being in a corner that they can't anticipate. Jogamo's very low. 12 HP on the way around. Better get that turret before it gets you. That came so close with a nano at his feet as well. But he's out of there with 6.
Yeah, unfortunately, the aggression of Boostio has been punished. This bonus round for FUT is looking good other than the HP. A lot of very low players. Ethan already takes the first. The orbital strike will push him up, and he lands him up, leaving just Kiwi remaining. He knows where both players are. Takes a lot of damage on the way back. And EG, from the depths of hell, rise once again. FUT, they look like they had that one, but somehow America's #1 strikes once more.
Well, that was a game of inches right there, and unbelievable to see EG taking strides by miles. Ethan's repositioning even. They thought they had him boxed in. And of course, because why would he have pushed back out? He should be going for the spawn control, trying to take that space. But he moved back towards his teammate, and wow.
At one point in this game, I think he was 4 and 3 and 13 assists. He's now 16 and 7 and 14 assists. So his assists have slowed down a little bit, I would say that. But he hasn't really needed to assist anyone. He's been finding all of the frags himself.
Yeah, last few rounds, bad teammate, better player. What can you say? 16th round. FUT have been struggling. And
that was the way back in. That was the door opening up for them to have a chance.
1 HP. Boostio finally losing a spam battle. Not through the smoke, though. It was through the door. That's the difference.
He's going to headshot someone through a smoke now. We're all going to look silly.
It's going to be the play. Well, here's ulti popped. Control taken. Straight down towards the B site. Killjoy utility protecting their back, but it does look like they want to commit, at least commit Demon 1 to this. As he seeks out a fight. Maj is forced back. There's a player up above in the form of Mr. Fallen. He's on the edge of the smoke. Hasn't come through just yet. Just spams, that's all he's looking for with his Phantom. No tracers, so good opportunities. Nade out. Oh, Nade is good, and Maj is even better. The spam's now going in their favor, and it seems like FUT have found a foothold on this round.
Yeah, this is where it gets troublesome. You have to try and reposition and find a safe place to plant, and with all the spams, all the different angles, every player rotating in, there just isn't a safe position. They need someone to give them the fights, and well, the 1 HP player from the beginning of the round, it would be the greatest clutch ever. If he somehow wins this one, we're going to be writing it in the history books, but with 15 seconds left, no spike, and all the players just watching him, it will be Boostio
10 seconds
just
left.
hiding, cowering back, and holding onto his weapon.
Well, they have an idea where he is, but I think most are too far away to really have a chance.
Now.
You just got to watch that nano. Okay, it's popped a little bit early. It's not quite going to catch him. And he's managed to save that weapon through. Nicely done, considering the economy of EG. Can definitely use that little bit of a boost. But they're going to call a timeout. And I'm not too surprised. Look, this round here, they didn't really get a chance to see anybody. Just taken down through those smokes. And
yeah,
Boostio might have an anti-strap for that.
Well, that's the thing. There's the Prime Gaming Flawless coming out from FUT. A great way to sort of break back into the round, keeping all of those weapons, building up some finances, and on the other side of things, it starts to get a little bit dicey. You've got that one saved weapon. Jorgamo could potentially invest in a little bit. What do you mean? I'm right here.
Eggman. Now, we've got a few.
Yeah, there are a few. Paperthin's going to be coming later on as well, so, you know. Plenty of bald people going to be gracing this stage, but for now at least, time taken from EG just to try and figure out. Like, that's the thing, they've got plenty of time to play with. This is something that has already been well within their wheelhouse, adapting on the fly. Credit given to Potter. Any doubters silenced quite a while ago, it seems. We're going to be getting right back into things. That said, this round in particular, okay, you've got yourself the Blade Storm onto Demon 1. You've got yourself that saved rifle from Boostio, but the rest of the team are going to be left with very little. Maybe if Com gets himself the Hunter's Fury, I'm starting to be a little bit of a believer. As said, he's always good for one at a minimum, but other than that, you kind of expect this one to be more of the same from FUT.
A little bit of a healthy bankroll built up. You know, we saw the flashes up and over from EG defensive side. This is very much how they like to take the control. They'll do the same thing here on the attack. Even the recon through just to clear out those extra angles up behind the boxes. unfortunately. Jogamo's gone walkabouts in the wrong place. Now, look, there's not a whole lot to play with here for the side of EG. It's going to be Demon 1 that takes your focus. And it takes theirs as well. FUT picking him out of the sky. And you can't pick those knives back up.
boostio now becomes the main focus of this round. See how much damage he can possibly achieve. Again, a few tagged players behind the box, but you feel like that'd have to be more of a mistake from the Turkish roster rather than anything else. They seem acutely aware that this position has been lost, and with the cross being held by Moj, it would mostly come down to awful timing from them, and there it is! That's as bad as timing could get. Mr. Farlin is going to quickly find the trade, and now Ethan is all that's left. 35 seconds, spike to be retrieved, and his opponent of Anna Captain just sitting back and waiting.
Yeah, very patient play like we talked about the other day from FUT. Their discipline definitely being worked on the past couple months since their last international appearance even. The payoff is there. Another round found, well handled. They start to build up on that lead, 3 behind on their defensive side. And as we said, this is where they found their plethora of rounds before. So the story is starting to add up to a FUT comeback, but this is where EG have a full buy.
Yeah, there's still 3 rounds in the lead, and as you said, this is where the rifles will be coming in for them. Also, that Hunter's Fury online, always a threat, but a lockdown on the other side. It might just have to be used for a counter, and not wanting that coming through in a late round retake. The build-up, though, is going to come in towards the B site, and that's where Kiwi is waiting an instant pop flash just to try and delay them off. The same on the other side, and it's close, but a miss.
Well, Demon 1 hasn't been deterred either. Look, he's just running it down. Trying to take all that space while they hunt down Kiwi. This guy is ridiculous with the Hunter's Furies. Calm just doesn't miss. With that man down, well, you're not too worried about Kiwi picking up the op and picking you up. They can look towards the B site, and they've at least faded out the lockdown with 1:05 on the clock. They can just wait it out.
Yeah, with 3 players already here, at the solo defender on the A site, EG are just going to pump the brakes, wait this one out a little bit longer. Operator's actually going to be going back in this time. It's found new hands, new blood in the form of Moj. He's not going to hit the shot either, leaving them in a dicey position. Rifle retrieved, but still, EG are just waiting, being delayed by the util on the other side.
35 seconds left. They're going to have to make a move eventually, not knowing how many players are on the back of that side towards the elbow. boostio finds the first. That's Moj. They know that Krax was around here, and they'll deal with him. And with that, well, it looks like a pretty easy site take. Not too many players left alive to spam back, and the plant's already been found. Lockdown if things get very scary, but with only 2 players that they're up against, and the positions that they've got, I mean, all the control is theirs. They can run this clock right the way down. And there you go, boostio's third seems to lock it in. Nice try by Anna Captain. I don't know where that second kill came from. The result is the same, 11 for EG, now 2 away from locking in this map.
Yeah, and this was something mentioned when it came to the desk yesterday. Obviously, we were lucky to have Baby Bay here, and he was mentioning the fact that when they were playing this last time, T1, or a lot of the time, were just going for these really pacey hits and giving them so much util ready for the retake. EG, on the other hand, just very happy to take themselves a pause. Like just stopping within that position and just waiting for anybody to make a mistake. Moj ends up going for a re-peek, hoping to try and find something, and then you don't have that same retake capability. And while it may have been EG taking a pause within the round, it's FUT now going to slow things down for the moment. Try and find a solution. They are only 4 rounds behind, and as we've mentioned, they have been very good on this defensive side the prior time we've seen at this tournament. Even still, though, you do have to feel like a couple of solutions will eventually be found by EG.
That's the thing, right? Like, FUT's way back in, it's the pistol round gives them that injection of rounds. They lose the third, they follow back with a bit of a fight. But even if it continues like this, you're still going to see EG walk across the line. It has to be near flawless on the fight back in. Only a 4-round deficit, but that's a lot when you're up against this attacking side of EG.
I've just been watching Demon 1 just slowly tracking the head of boostio with his operator. Doing a little bit of drawing while we wait. They've actually given the operator over to Boostio, making me think this is going to be a much more explosive round, especially considering your opponents have just taken a pause, trying to adapt for your slow pace of round, waiting. Just a burst play into the site might not be something they'll be expecting. Maybe thinking of holding that utility a little bit longer, and already you can see just the instant pop flash setup and that smoke being baited out immediately from the side of Adacaptain. He can't just allow them to burst into that site.
Yeah, get the sense just looking at EG's setup that they're trying to bait out the push up on B, right? This whole round, you've got Jogamo. We saw Adacaptain have success with it and failure with it in the similar position. You make early presence on A, you push up, you give them control, and you hope that they fall into your lap afterwards. But what has happened is they've pushed middle on the side of FUT, taken the control, heard the turret get called back, heard the rotations come through, and should have a good idea of this B site play that's about to unfold. But the rotations on their own side have taken a little bit. Actually, it looks like they even thought it was A. They just cleared it out now, realizing it, but the players aren't going to be here on time. This is going to be tough to actually, well, they're able to wait outside the lockdown, so maybe this will work out. They've got a flanker as well, Maj containing them, who hasn't been spotted just yet.
He was hoping that he'd be able to find one before they get in. The Molotov has done work to deny at least a little bit longer, but the site is going to fall into the hands of Evil Geniuses. Adacaptain trying to make a play through, and Moj will be the one to do it instead. The trades back, leave it down to just Boostio. Still with that operator in hand, and he's going to get destroyed by Kiwi. An 8th round onto the board for FUT. A solid hold on the side of B, and well, this climb back looks to continue. Luckily, I was going to say there's enough finances, but it still seems like they're going to have to go a little bit lower than they'd like on EG.
Yeah, maybe. There's definitely going to be weaknesses there. I think on the side of FUT last round, really good idea. You can see that they're putting the pieces together as the round goes on. 3-man stack on A. One guy pushed up mid. Hear the rotations. Misread, thinking that it's the A side. But then the fact that Maj, right after I said he hadn't been spotted, he destroyed the alarm bot and went running all the way back around. It puts a sense of urgency in the attacker's boots. They're thinking the flank is coming in. We need to either catch him and adapt or rush the site before those rotations come all the way through. And they end up running right into Maj, who'd very quickly rotated and was there to back up his buddies. It's an 8th round. Building blocks starting to form. That EG want to knock that castle down and leave FUT stranded. Having to reverse sweep it starting on Bind. We're going to see the contact on Maj, but he's smoked off. Doesn't really have an opportunity to do anything still. Like Boostio to 1 HP.
It's the exact same. He just seems to survive. Oh, Timmy the turret almost had. He's been a little bit unlucky. There we go.
He's got it.
Timmy's gone. Not going to be surviving any further in this one. Boostio, he's either the unluckiest or the luckiest. It depends what way you look at it. He's surviving, but only just. The defenders also aren't just sitting there. They're not waiting to lose all of this map control. Adacaptain starting to push up, but now they start to get pressured from Art through the smoke. They go, though, and it's a good chance for Cracks to farm up a few extra kills. Again, it's Boostio. 1v5. Not quite. Not quite. So, he was almost there.
Coming out of this round, I mean, obviously FUT are building up bank. They don't have much of a chance to stumble, really, to catch themselves, but it's the 3 ultis online as well. That Viper's Pit and the Orbital Strike could be game changers for this defensive side, and if paced out correctly, might make it most of the way towards equalizing at least. It's been promising these last couple, but again, the rifles come back out for EG.
That's the thing. I feel like, again, similarly, Adacaptain's slow start, fragging-wise, is coming back into this game. The amount of delay he's able to put in on this A site makes it very difficult for EG to actually take a lot of that space. It seems like the contact from Maj in middle and then the aggression consistently surrounding the map, it makes it very difficult for EG to somewhat find this space. And as of right now, they've struggled to string any rounds together. They're going to use a lot of utility to take control of mid once again. Kiwi, wow, he's going to find himself in a bit of an odd spot. They've used this utility to try and almost section off into mid, but instead he's getting pressured on the other side.
Yeah, and his teammates can't really come out to help just because they're being pressured as well. Kiwi on an island, isolated, you would think. in trouble, but Maj manages to buy the time. The orbital strike cut off the rest of the squad and let this man fight from the hallway. He is decimating the EG squad. 4 kills found, and FUT up to double digits now, hot on EG's heels.
Yeah, there's always the question of when do you start to believe that a team is going to be able to turn this one around, and I think we might be getting to that point right about now. 10 rounds on the board, double digits for FUT, and more so, more importantly for me at least, we're seeing those superstars come online. Moj on this defense has again been a menace, the same as last time out, just starting evidently on his weaker side, and EG just slowly, this was 9-3. They're watching their lead crumble away. A pistol round might have been enough to just close out this game completely.
It would have.
An early shock dart put through to try and destroy Killjoy utility, but it is more of a ruse than anything else, as they are, as a 3 core, just making their way in towards this A site. It's a double up though. They are waiting. Or being collected by Com. I don't mind that at all. It is impact paramount whenever they have that ult online, but it's still a little bit away. As are all of their ults, in fact. None of their ults are close to being online, other than Com's, which is 3 orbs off.
It's a conventional round. I think we're seeing the stack up towards the A site because Maj has Viper's Pit, the confidence to play with it, Operator holding down B long. So that's just 2 people, 2 places that they've got to hold, and then the rest of the squad waits for the, I guess, what they hope, what they expect to be coming through, which is an A play. They've read it correctly to start. They've got their Killjoy utility in play. Mr. Fallen, Ada Captain, and Cracks all close by. Molly and Fragment to keep them back outside of the nanos. Some of that utility will be countered out, unfortunately, but they've still got the manpower here to take those fights and convincingly close out this round, you would think. Mr. Fallen, very low on HP, still going for fights done. All right, right-click onto Jogamo. He was only 5 HP. That'll go 11-11. That round wasn't one we thought EG would compete in. They really didn't. But now is their chance to put that round on the board and, well, once again, separate themselves from this FUT squad. It's their bye round, and losing this, Tom, the squad that's been leading the whole game, would then be potentially facing down a 13-11 scoreline, a map stolen out from right under their nose.
Yeah, the scary thing as well is after this we then head into Bind, which I don't know if people remember last time out, they were playing a Reina and a Chamber. It was definitely one of their weirder comps, an attempt to try and catch Fnatic off guard in that grand final that they played in Tokyo, but I assume they will have gone back to the drawing board, otherwise they probably would have just banned it straight out. But to be testing that first time versus a deadly FUT squad, a map down, that would be devastating. And all the way from being 9-3 in the lead, the only round they have won is 18 excluding the bonus, which again, you kind of expect them to be winning the bonus round. The fact is though, they're giving Potter that opportunity. Now guys on the other side is going to have the same opportunity to try and maybe level the minds of the squad, but you are seeing just that depth of FUT. 2 kills between top and bottom, everybody now performing on that other side, and I'm looking at Demon One. He is someone who we know can take over matches, who can win them rounds on an individual scale. He's sat at the bottom at the moment, not by a lot, but this would be a time for him to have one of those hero rounds. Definitely tougher, though, coming into that attack.
Well, the America's #1 seed already taken the distance. It's going to be all the rounds, and maybe some more. The side of FUT on the defense, 3 stack up on B. Same old setup. Same old approach from this squad. Again, you'll see that Viper orb in play, blocking out control over the double doors for the side of FUT as they stick with a 2-man hold of B. Shifting late, not even late into the round, very early into the round, they've abandoned A. Maybe sensing out how slow some of these pushes have been for EG, or expecting them to have a bit of an adaptation rather than coming through Ard and main, that they'll look for control elsewhere on the map that can be punished.
Again, almost selling some information in towards this B site, trying to bait their opponents into the belief that they're there. The orb take will get Com ever closer. They clearly value that ultimate highly. They've been building towards it over the last couple of rounds. A minute left on the clock as Crack sits towards middle. He's expecting pressure to come through here. Both sides have definitely favored that, but this time it seems like the majority, at least, is going to be leveled into this late B-side push, and that's exactly where Kiwi waits and watches.
Yeah, they've concealed their hand as well. The drone coming around won't spot him out. So Kiwi's able to catch him by surprise. Demon 1 staying at the bottom of that scoreboard. Viper's Pit used. This is great. EG are avoiding the powerful ult, avoiding the operator as well, but they've got to be quick. They've got to run headfirst into this KJ setup. Do they have a knife on the way through? Not online for Cracks. Not online for Ethan. Onto the back of the site, the nade is in. It's forcing them out into the open, but they're just taking the fights, winning them as they go. The plan desperately trying to be found. It comes at the cost of Com's life. Ethan left on the spike all alone and flooded by FUT. 11 rounds turned to 12. And somehow it's FUT with map point.
I don't know what's going on. EG are looking like they're crumbling. A late switch up after walking into that operator of Kiwi. It's going to be one of the freest shots he's probably had all day. Nothing to really force him off the angle. And then just hightailing it. Maybe hoping that they baited a rotation of Ada Captain and Mr. Fallen, but they didn't move even for a second. And then by the time the push came in, the full cavalry had arrived. This has been a 5-round streak. 7 of the last 8 going the way of FUT. Their defensive side ever formidable. And now EG have one last chance. Otherwise, they're going to have let a map slip from 9-3 in the lead. And the Turkish roster will have themselves a 1-0 position. They're ready for Kiwi. They're watching for him. This time, he's not going to find that initial fight.
It was close on the follow-up as well, but his dash is gone now. That's a big factor. Mobility limited, and in fact, completely taken away. Kiwi still able to get one, hunted down. Orbital strike comes in. Demon 1 needs to move quickly. He'll be caught on the way back out. Sure, 1 kill for FUT, but it might not be enough. Ada Captain still with a massive clutch in front of him. The first not even found, tagging up boostio. Teammates repositioning, and a lifeline for EG with overtime secured.
The crowd could breathe for a moment. They have brought this one all the way back from the depths. It was looking like a done deal after the streak of rounds that was had, but back to basics. Again, we're going to see that Hunter Streak every time. It almost seems like when that ultimate is online, EG just can't lose themselves the round, and the disruption caused, the opener found by Demon 1, and they are still living in this map. OT, everything gets reset. No ultimates online across the board, and still a chance that they could take their map choice, but now for FUT, they're going to go onto that attack side. Interestingly, something we didn't see too much of, Kiwi's going to go for the operator. Try and deny some of that early aggression coming out of the side of EG. They were quite happy to try and challenge for map control, but in this round at least, a much more passive stance.
That recon caught a few of the FUT players outside of A. Information for EG, not really reacted to. If anything, they go lighter on this A side. Start to move around. But it's FUT grabbing control, leaving a player on each extremity. We've seen this from them before. These are the much slower rounds they like to attempt and find their own opportunities as the round unfolds. Let EG make a mistake. For now, that certainly isn't happening. A lot more presence from this defensive squad around the middle area and around these spots that Kiwi has historically loved to just sneak and slip his way into.
Look at this double up, though. 2 players here. The expectation of boostio will be there. The pop flash good, and Demon 1 is already going to double up, looking for a little bit more. No trade to be had. Kiwi looking like he was considering going back in here. In the meantime, we've seen the walk up on long, but you can already witness on the map that boostio is firmly watching towards this. It seems like Kiwi trying to maybe bait some sound cues of presence on the other side and leaving boostio somewhat alone. He's actually going to go forward, maybe gifting his opponents a chance, but also being a bit of a snake within the grass, not expecting him to be up this close. 10 seconds now for FUT to try and find something within this round. Mr. Fallen, he's got to plant. He's got to go for it right now. No, in fact, there's absolutely no time. Everybody has to die, and it is not going to be happening. He might kill off the majority, but EG will get themselves the round.
Com jumping for joy to close out that round. Yes, 13 now for EG, and in a map that they were leading from the very get-go. They now finally have the chance to close it out for the first time. It's been an impressive stand from FUT. after just 3 rounds in the first half, I didn't believe in them making it even close to this kind of run. And as we said, we knew that their defense would be good. Once again, it will be tested as they stand on their defensive side, 13-12. Again, that op is going to be bought up by Kiwi here in overtime.
They do it again. The one thing that really worked for them, that last round dash, sprint straight into this B side, and already the fake smoke is what takes out his opponent. It was a bait, just utilized. Nice trade though from Mr. Farland, keeping things even for the moment. Cracks trying to pounce, holding that backline, maybe expecting there to be a bit more of a repeat, but that early fight has quickly diminished. And just look at the majority of EG. They're backing away from this one, but
Spike's
so are
made
FUT.
Spike's out. Grouping up with Jogamo and Calm, the first to leave this site. Calm on his way to A. They're sticking around. 50 seconds, still some time to make a decision. And most importantly, this is where you expect a flanker to come through or a player on the side of FUT to overextend to grab information. They'll look to punish.
They've tried to use the knife against their opponents. Now Cracks will finally spot that this is the place where EG look to make the stand. Boostio blinded up. Cracks watching, but it's Marge instead, and it's a slaughter! They don't even get anywhere close to planting that spike, because FUT will put them down on B. It's defensive round after defensive round again, as we will continue this one into OT.
Yeah, the repositioning of Maj. These players were swinging through to try and deal with Cracks, who'd been spotted moments ago. It popped that little flash around the corner, timed perfectly with the knife that came in. Although the abilities were down and out, they weren't needed at that point. This is where EG could start to feel frustrated. This map already gone on a lot longer than they expected it to when they shifted into that second half. 13-13, and FUT call a timeout. They're going to gather themselves ahead of this attacking round, which is fair. It's where most of the trouble has been.
Yeah, I think it's the perfect place. Give guys a chance to see if he can find a gap. If he spotted anything over the last few rounds within this defense. It's definitely not been easy to really find any mistakes being made by EG, because both teams have just been happy to play super passively, like almost wait for their opponents to make a slip up. And in the last round, it was more so just a slight change in setup. We've seen this the majority of rounds where EG have had that almost contact deep within mid. Instead, they played that close cubby. They had Demon 1 there waiting to catch FUT off guard, and it worked. So now it's almost going to be a game of cat and mouse to work out where EG have set that trap, where they've placed that superstar Jet, and for FUT, well, if they can catch him before he does too much damage.
That's what it's all about. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. Just roll the dice and steam in towards the site. EG's defense, as we said, this is where most teams are putting up the rounds. Another chance to set up a map point. This is their map pick that's being contested for so aggressively. Speaking of aggression, nothing but W keys here. The side of FUT looking to very quickly pressure that B site. More players than usual here, though. EG stacked up with 3, ready for this kind of just sheer muscling of the site. Boostio hasn't been spotted at all, and he's getting them all breaking apart this attacking side piece by piece. His 3rd in the round. And 14 found another chance to close it out.
It seems like both teams have decided to go for the same sort of strategy. This rush B taken back from, well, the echelons of time. Something that has been tried through multiple esports and failing once more, it seems. A close angle not cleared, and for FUT, that's the blunder. Now we get to see what EG have to offer, and more so, they're going to take exactly the same pause as their opponents. I wonder if we're just going to get another rush off the back of it, maybe try and play the mind games and then do exactly the same thing, but I almost have to feel like the A site might be due a little bit of love here, Mitch, because the B site definitely hasn't been working for either of these teams.
Especially with some of those rounds that have gone a little quicker. W key strats, and especially for FUT, that's a go-to for a Turkish squad to pull out the quick sucker punch. They were on guard, ready and defending. EG here in this timeout, you can see a lot being said. but it's coming to a close, and we'll have to see what their attacking strategy is.
I hope it doesn't cut to me after that.
I was thinking the opposite, but all right. See how it is. Well, Tom, round 28 about to kick off, and one key difference here, Kiwi doesn't have that operator.
No, it's been something that both teams have been dabbling in, but I think just having that maneuverability, allowing for the quicker rotations, and especially with the amount of spams we've had through smokes, it doesn't seem like it makes the most sense. Also, they're going walkabouts, destroying that turret early, but it's the double down, allowing them to know that there's at least a player on either side. Pop Flash could completely decimate Moj. He's just trying to escape. Both players actually caught by the blind, but somehow he actually comes out with a kill. Kiwi looking like he wants to try and capitalize off that, but will eventually be forced back. Not going to go for an overextension, and again, the early fight comes up even.
Yeah, I think Kiwi's idea was to get out there and help his teammate Moj while he was still alive. You know, lock down that extra angle for him and fight for mid together if his buddy was going to be stranded. But once he falls, the correct decision's absolutely to fall back. Holding on to this control a little bit later towards the doors. And we have seen Boostio with a couple nasty flanks. This time his timing is near perfect, and he'll catch two for his trouble. A triple in the round already, and a nail in FUT's coffin. They managed to pick up Jogamo, remove smokes and some utility at least, and they immediately read it. FUT expecting this EG squad to double back and move towards A, and that read could not be better.
Oh, timing is everything. He's probably heard the steps of them running all the way back around. Kiwi has the perfect flank. The turret's still yet to be pulled back for Boostio, so we'll have no knowledge at this point. He's been spotted. Now looks to maybe face back in the other direction, but he hits the shot anyway, just taking over this round. It took some time for Evil Geniuses, but their map choice eventually goes their way.
It was a much more strenuous battle than I think this squad was expecting. Especially, as I said, that second half started out, and it seemed like a matter of time, but FUT had some serious fight left in them. They won't win their opponent's map pick, but Bind up next, and we've got a lot of question marks about how that one's going to go.
For sure. Boostio as well, it was mentioned, 35 kills he got last time. He's top of the board this time with 26, but it was an even affair. A lot of solid play across the board, no weak links, an exciting map to say the least. And for FUT, now it's all about coming in with that reset. They could have taken this one, especially from the deficit they were in. It's more just going to be that fatigue. You now know you could have been a map up going into your choice, an unknown of what's going to be played by EG. And instead now you're going in with that deficit after a long fought-out map. Do you have that ability to mentally reset?
And that's the thing. It's going to be a very different map coming up next as well, though. Like, Kiwi and Demon One, both players that I think strike fear into their opponents' hearts. Both players on the bottom of the scoreboard for their respective squads. Yeah. This is a map that demands a lot from those Jet players. And something different will be expected up on Bind. I think that head-to-head is going to be something to keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, as I said, like what's even going to be played on one side of things, because I think the Bind pick coming out from FUT is an expectation. Like, they look great on it on the international scene. They managed to take it off Fnatic and off DRX not too long ago, so they're going to be coming in feeling confident. I won't expect them to change too much. And on the other side of things, well, Potter's had the chance to sort of workshop what they're going to do on the counter, what they can have on the other side. So I think this series is far from over, but that is a huge victory for EG to get that over the line.
Well, playing in front of the home crowd as well. We heard from Boostio how much it means to them and how it's felt being out there on the stage. Now taking another win, facing down the barrel of a potential 2-0 up against the side of FUT. If they've changed enough, if they've made those adaptations. An incredible start, though, for them. We'll see what they've got cooked up on Bind in just a little bit. For now, we're off to a break.